Good afternoon, everyone. As usual, I'll be giving just 1 minute to allow you guys to come in before we start the business of the day. How has you guys been? How is the weather treating each and every one of you? Hope the day has been moving on smoothly, and hope the third month of the year is moving on smoothly with each and every one of you guys. Today is a good day. Just sit tight and, as usual, flow according to the tune of our presentation. And like I always say, feel free to drop your questions on the chat box or the Q&A. Okay, like I said, I'll be giving just 1 minute. I think I've exhausted my 1 minute. I think I will just take it off from here, even as more people join us for the event. Good afternoon once again, and welcome for those of you guys that are joining us for the first time. My name is Gagba Esahaya, and I'm a training coordinator with the Temple Small Business Development Center. The Temple Small Business Development Center helps small business start and grow. We offer free one-on-one consulting and a variety of low to no cost webinars. We are proud to be part of the nationally accredited network of the Small Business Development Centers, which has over 1,000 networks across the United States. We're here this afternoon for a webinar on WordPress for beginners to build your website. A copy of the PowerPoint and a link to the recording will be sent to all the attendees. Being a webinar, all the attendees have been muted. However, we always encourage you guys to drop your questions on the Q&A or the chat box. Without further ado, please allow me to welcome my wonderful presenter, even as she takes over the flow for the presentation. Sheila, you are welcome.
Great. Thank you so much, Garba. Welcome today is Sheila Bishop, and thank you for joining WordPress for Beginners 2, Building Your Site. Today's webinar is put on by Temple Small Business Development Center, hosted by Temple's Fox School of Business. The SBDC has been serving the needs of small businesses in Philadelphia, Eastern Montgomery, and Lower Bucks counties since 1983. And our mission is to provide entrepreneurs and business owners with the knowledge needed to make smart business decisions and to prosper. I'm Sheila Bishop. I'm a business consultant and an e-commerce consultant with the SBDC. My background is I've had more than 35 years in varied IT experience. I've been a developer, project manager. I've been a systems administrator. I've pretty much done, I think, just about everything. Most recently, I was the vice president of monitoring services operation at Bank of America. I have a BA in computer science from Temple University, and I'm a dog person and an inveterate knitter. Today, we're going to go over publishing your WordPress site. So taking a WordPress site that you've kind of started to build, you have some pages, you have some posts, but kind of taking it next step, right? So picking a theme, changing that theme to see what it will do to your site, doing some customizations on your site, looking at some plugins to enhance the functionality of your site, and looking at images and media to, again, enhance your site. So to start with, we're going to talk about themes, right? So what is a theme? A theme is a group of files, graphics, style sheets, code that define the overall appearance of your website. They define how the content is presented and the behavior of features of your site, right? Now, the nice thing about WordPress is that the appearance and the content are separate, right? So you can change your themes without losing your content. Now, you'll notice if you change themes, that sometimes it might look like content's disappeared because different themes will have different widget areas. So you may have a sidebar widget where you've put in your email and some other things, and you change themes and suddenly that's gone. Well, the data's not gone, it's just that theme doesn't show widgets in that area. It may be in the footer, and you may need to kind of reapply those changes to put that data back in the footer, but the data is still there on your website. So that's what I'm saying, the content and the appearance are separate. There are thousands of themes, free and premium themes. So free themes are just that, and premium themes will have additional features, but they do cost money. And where you can go and see these themes are at wordpress.org/themes. Individual companies will also have themes, so like WooCommerce has themes that they've created to work really well with their commerce solution, with their e-commerce solution, and you can go to there and see some of their solutions. You can also have, if you have a very specific business, you can actually have someone develop a theme specifically for you. Here's a picture of some themes, some themes that are pretty popular. One is Astra, and you can look at the details of it by going to wordpress.org/theme/Astra, and Oceans WP, same thing. Both of these are kind of good all-around themes. They can do e-commerce, they can do business to business, you know. So let's take a look at the Astra theme, right? So if you go to what I was showing you in the other place about themes, Astra, it'll bring up the information about Astra, right? And it'll tell you about what you get with the free theme and what you might get with the premium theme. And what you see here, like I said, is the description, and it'll tell you that this theme will work with a blog, it will work with a business website, that it's compatible with WooCommerce, that it's lightweight, and that it's also compatible with Elementor or Divi, which are tools you can use for website building, right? Now, I first built this presentation in July, right? So let's pretend it's July, like July 25th, right? Or July 27th, because you can see when the last time this theme was updated, but again, this slide hasn't been updated. So you can see when the last time this theme was updated, the version it's on, how many users it has, the version of WordPress it's going to work on, the ratings, and how many people have rated it. So you can see here, this is a very highly rated theme by a lot of people and very few bad ratings, right? And the other good thing to take a look at is support. So if you click the view support button, you can also see the kind of support issues people are having, but even more important than that, you can see how fast the support team is getting back to people, right? So if you look at a theme and it's, you know, so this one says read me first, and it's been 5 years. But if the most current issues, it's taking the developers to get back to them in months, think about when you have a problem and how long it's going to take them to get back to you. So we kind of went over this, right? So what to look for? Highly rated, right? Many reviews, and that's been recently updated. Now you may have a business that's very unique, and you know, you may then have a theme that doesn't have so many people reviewing it because it's kind of a niche, but beyond that, you really want to look at one that's highly rated, right? And a lot of these themes have really cool features, right? They'll have music players, they'll have gaming. But think to yourself, like if you're a lawyer, do you really need a music player on your website? Do you really need gaming? And picking themes with those types of things, the theme is probably going to be slower than a cleaner theme, right? And it's likely to slow down your site, and slow sites hurt your SEO. So really don't pick a theme with options you don't need. Even if you think, oh, later I might need it. If later you need it, then that's probably a good time to then your business has probably changed, and that's probably a good time to think about refreshing your website in general and maybe moving to that theme. But like I said, you really want your website to be as quick and speedy as possible. And you want your website to be responsive, have good support, and it should also be easily customized and updatable by you, right? So you want a website, you want a theme where you can update the color scheme, you can add your logo, you control the layout, you can add things to the headers and the footers. And some themes lock you in a little bit more. So that's something just to keep an eye out for. So once you pick your theme, how do you install it? And we'll go over this in the demo, but this is for you to have, you know, when you get the presentation. You go to the WordPress menu and you go to Appearance Theme, select New, find the theme you've chosen, and then basically click Activate, and then that will be the active theme for your site. When you've picked the theme you're going to go into production with, clean up all the other themes that you tried out. Anytime you have, you know, you want to make sure your site's as secure as possible, and that means that you only have the things on there that you need. And that not applies to themes and plugins and all those things, right? Because that any additional code you have on there is just the more places where bad actors could act on, right? So any themes you're not going to be using, you can always reinstall them and reactivate them. So you want to go, unless you've bought them. If you've bought them, you want to make sure you've zipped them up and that you have them in a secure place. But to delete them, you go to the dashboard panel in the appearance and themes, hover over the theme you want to delete, go to the theme details in the bottom right corner, you'll see to delete it. It's a lot less intuitive for deleting them, I think, so you don't accidentally delete your themes that you're using. But again, we'll show that in the demo. Okay, so let's do a demo on changing themes. And if anybody has any questions, this is a good time to ask them. Okay, so here is our demo site. It's a little site for a dog company, and we can check right now, see what our theme we have here. So you can take a look and see, this is what our theme looks like here. And actually it says right down here, it's Astra WordPress theme. And you can see we have kind of a banner image with our titles, we have home, we have our menu over here to the right, and our site title. And we have our blog post, our most current blog post. And if we go to our About Us page, yeah, you can see just our nice About Us page. Okay, so now let's change our theme and see what changes are made to our site. Okay, so to change our themes, and as you see, what you see on this in your menu will change based on what you have loaded on your site. And the number of options will also change from the themes. So if we look at appearance and customize, you can see this for Astra is all the customization options we have. And it's quite a few for Astra. It's one of the reasons I kind of like it is just a base theme. So you can go in and change your header types and your site logo. And we'll be looking at that later in your primary menu. And so we have lots of good options under here. We can look at the footer builder. We're not going to upgrade, right? You can design it and put things on there. Right? Then you can look at our widgets. And as it tells us, it has 8 widget areas, but this page is not displaying them. Okay, fine. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to go into appearances and themes, and we are going to pick the 2020 theme. This is the 2023 theme, which is this year's theme. Every year, WordPress puts out a new theme for the year with features that it's kind of highlighting for the year. This year's theme is just a very clean theme that allows you to do kind of building stuff from scratch and showing you how to use the block editor. So you can take a look at that one. But we are going to use the 2020 theme. And the way we do it, right, was we just go here and we click activate. Okay, and now that is our theme. So if we go back to our site and we visit our site, you can see our colors all changed, right? Because that theme had a default color palette that was different than our theme, Astra's theme's default color palette, right? So now we have this kind of green background. It has these widgets at the bottom where we did not have the widgets at the bottom. Remember that said, no, we don't have any widgets on our home page. It has our site name at the bottom. It doesn't actually say what this one at the bottom doesn't say what theme we're using, where the other one did, right? So it just looks different, right? So, when you have, is this kind of the what you would like your page to look like? We also lost our menu at the top, right? So probably not what we were going for, right? So if we go over to Doggy Tails and Dashboard, and we go to Pages, and then we look at the About Us page, we'd have to definitely build a header. Oh, that color theme really does not go. Now we certainly probably can change the color theme, but it's something we would definitely have to do on this one, right? And if we go back to our menu and we go to appearances and customize, you can see our options are not the same as we had under the Astra options, right? We still have the site identity, but we have this colors and dark mode, right? So we can select a new color. The widgets, right? That's what we were seeing at the bottom, the widgets here, right? So it defaulted to have widgets. You know, so it's just, that's kind of thing. So you have to think about what you want your site to look like, and then you can pick your theme. So that theme definitely doesn't seem to go with our page. So let's pick another one, which is not what I want to do. But this time, let's pick one we don't have on here, right? Because our site is ultimately going to be an e-commerce site. So let's pick an e-commerce site. So we don't have any here. Right, so we're going to click add a new theme, right? And you see when we clicked add a new theme, more themes than just what we had installed came up, right? So there's a whole bunch, this is what I'm saying, there's like thousands of themes available. And you can see information about these different themes. So our theme's like we have a dog-based theme, and it's going to be a store. So let's see, anything here like strike our fancy? Maybe this one, right? So we can take a look and see if this is something that looks like it would meet our needs. Yeah, don't like the colors. So it tells us some things over here. First child character. This is what it would look like. It's a minimal and clean WordPress full of site editor. The theme is particularly developed for blog. Okay, well, that's not what we're looking for, right? So we're going to exit out of here. So I know what site I would like to try. So let's go up here and search for it. And we're going to go look for one called Storefront. Okay, and here it is, right? So if you know what you're looking for, you can type it in here and it'll come up. And here it is, right? So we're going to, before we just had the activate button, but now we need to install it first. So we're going to go ahead and hit install. And Storefront is a WooCommerce, one that WooCommerce developed, and it is geared towards shopping and e-commerce sites. So if we look over here, it says it's a perfect theme for your next WooCommerce product. Okay, design developed, right? Features bespoke, okay, integration with WooCommerce, several layouts and color, personalize your shop, multiple widgets, responsive design, lean and extensible code base. Okay, that sounds good to us, right? So we're going to go ahead and you can activate it from right here. So we're going to go ahead and activate it. Okay, so now the theme we have activated is Storefront. So let's see what our site looks like now. Okay, so it looks cleaner again, right? More like what we started with. We have our menu back, but now it's on the left-hand side. We have our site title and our site tagline. We have widgets back, but now they're on a sidebar instead of in the footer. We lost the coloring of our quote, but we got our quote back, and we have our blog post. And we have this kind of white and gray color, kind of a white and gray palette. So if we go to About Us, again, it looks better than with that green, right? I don't really like the sidebar, right? You can remove the sidebar, right? That's changeable. The colors look a lot better, right? If we go back to our dashboard, and we go to, and you can see here, there's actually more things even under appearances, right? We had seen how customize grew and shrank based on our themes, But now we can actually see how even what's under appearances has grown and shrunk based on picking a theme. Like we have this storefront under appearances now, and you can actually see different information about alternate designs and storefront extension bundles, right? Because that came in with our theme. It's specific to the storefront theme. Okay, so we're going to go look at customize. And we're going to look at our footer. And here, the one what we looked at for the 2020, there was only a way to change that main background color right from here. But here you can actually change the background color of the footer. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And I have specific colors for the site that I'm going to pick up from a Word document that I have over here. And I'll just show you. See, I have, like I was saying, like the color palette and X. So I'm going to pick that up. Okay, and now if we look at our footer, it's this nice blue color, right? And the black still stands out pretty well, so that looks nice. So we're just going to leave that, and we're going to head to publish it. And we're going to go back, and we can do the same thing for the header. We can add an image to our headers behind here, or we can select the background color if we want to make it the same color, or we can make it a different color, but I'm just going to make it the same color. So it's got the blue at the top and the blue at the bottom, and publish it. Okay. And then, like I said, we can look at the widget section, and you can see here it has the sidebar with all of this in here. And you can, remove the sidebar, or you can add more to it, or you can delete some of these options. You can, if you decide that you liked it better in the footer as opposed to the sidebar, you can move them around. So this is a pretty extensible one too. So yeah, the thing is, like I said, the content and your appearance is separate, right? So while you're making these changes, if you notice, like our about page, if we go back up here, we're making all kinds of changes, right? But this content hasn't changed. We still have our blog post. And if we go to our About Us page, right, it's still here. That hasn't changed at all. But especially when your site is larger and especially if you've been in production, you want to save any custom code because that is embedded in your theme, right? So when you're changing your theme, you are putting any custom code at risk. So you want to make sure you've saved that off. And you want to back up your entire site anytime you make any significant changes or really any changes to your site, right? Because you don't want any, even a slight change like that could cause some corruption, and you want to be able to get back to your production site. And if possible, you want to create a staging site, copy off your production code, make the changes there, get it the way you want it to look, and then plan the switch from your running production site to your staged site that you've made the changes to. And you also, as you're making these themes, like I said, some are heavier themes than others. They have more code in them because if you remember what I said, themes are really just a bundle of code, a bundle of style sheets. So they have different loads in terms of speed and that type of thing. So run Google Analytics, run the analytics for a while before you make the changes, and then after you make the changes to make sure you're not seeing any degradation of your speeds when you're making the changes. Okay, so we have a couple things in chats. How do you back up your site? Actually, there's going to be an intermediate class, I think next month, and we do talk about backing up your site in that class with some tools you can use. But there are plugins that you can use to back up your site. You can also back up the actual files because WordPress is really just a bunch of files on a drive and in a database. But there are tools that'll help you back up the files. If you bought a theme, how do you save it so you can get it later? If you bought a theme, you can zip it up, and it should have come to you as a zip file, right? Because even if you go to WordPress.org and you see a theme there that didn't show up in that other list, you can download it as a zip package, and then you unzip it, and then you load it into your file. So if you buy a theme, you should get it as like a zipped up group of files, and you should save that zipped file like multiple places so you don't lose it. It was a production site, entirely separate site, then you duplicate the site and publish. So some hosting sites actually have a function that says staging site, and that makes it very easy. Otherwise, yes, it's an entirely separate site and you duplicate it, and then you publish that site. Okay. Okay, so we're going to go back to Astra just because I do like that theme. So we're just going to go back and activate Astra. And then we're going to look at our site, and we're back basically where we started, right? The header, when we changed the header, the color, and the footer, that all got washed away because that was something we did specific to that theme. So we're back where we started before we changed all our themes. And since we decided that even though we thought Storefront was a good theme, but we're not going to use it, we're going to delete that theme, right, to make sure we stay nice and clean and we don't have any themes we don't like or we don't need. So like I said, you go into the themes section again, appearance and themes, and you click on the theme details, and then way down here, see there's a little delete button. That's what I'm saying. It's much less intuitive than the activate button. Again, I think so you don't accidentally delete themes that you want to keep. So you click delete and it comes up and says, are you sure you want to delete it? And we're going to go ahead and say okay. And now that theme is gone. Okay, any other questions? If not, we'll move back to our presentation. Okay. So now that we have our theme picked, we're going to talk about customizing our site. And we saw a little bit about how to customize our site in that demo, right? So one of the things you want to do, kind of even before you start customizing your site, is map out your colors, right? And if you notice, like I said, I do keep that little those little hex codes for the site, my little demo site, so that every time I redo these classes, I have those consistent colors. And I do like to keep the hex codes. You can keep them in the red, blue, green format, or because it's the easiest way to just plop them in there, and also to make sure that they are consistent and you're not just trying to pick them off that little slide and try to get them the right every time, and on the next page the same little slide. Because that hex code is going to be, if you put that hex code in, like when we put the header and the footer, that was the exact same color, right? That's what the hex code is going to ensure. And once you pick a color you like, you can just copy that hex code, right? So you can first pick it with the little slide and then copy that hex code and keep it. So you want to make sure you have consistent site color, and if you click this link when you get the presentation, it'll bring you to an article about good consistent site colors, what's good for sites in terms of colors. You also want to make sure that the text on the background is readable, right? There's some color combinations that look nice, but are not really readable if you have low vision, right? So even like a blue with a light taupe color, a blue, like a light blue with a charcoal gray sometimes does not have the contrast to be readable if you have low vision. So you want to make sure that text on your background is readable. It's dark enough, it's large enough that somebody with low vision will be able to read it. There are some checks out there that you can find for Americans with Disability Act that'll tell you whether or not the contrast between your background and your text is high enough for people with low vision. You want to create your logo, and you want your logo to be a vector diagram, right? Most of the pictures on your site are going to be JPEG or PNG, but your logo really should be a vector diagram or vector picture, because it will then scale easily, right? It'll scale cleanly, so you can make it tiny and you can make it large, and it won't lose clarity, right? It won't go fuzzy or foggy or anything. So that's the one graphic that you really want to make a vector. You want to create a favicon, which would probably be your logo just, turned into a favicon or something that will represent your brand. And a favicon is the little icon that would be up at the tabs along the top of your browser window that will help identify your site when somebody has a million tabs open. So you want to make sure you create one of those, and then you want to create your menus, and you want to create maybe a footer menu and a header menu. You want to create your widgets, which we saw like either at the top or the bottom. They're small blocks of content, and they can be changed by changing the themes. We saw that sometimes there's sidebars, sometimes there's bottom bars. Things you want to use as widgets are usually like your address, your phone number, your email address, your social media icons are very important to have on your website. And those would be things like you put in the widget area. Okay, I think we have a couple of questions we can answer. The demo will be after the presentation. You'll get a link to it, and will be on YouTube, and you'll be sent the link. And some sites use animation, right? And you can find plugins and themes that will allow you to do animation, right? Again, you just need to find the themes that support that. If you don't need animation, it's one of those things which I would say that if you don't need the animation, then don't use it, because it will make your site be a little slower. Okay, so the other thing that you can use to expand along with themes, right? Because like I said, a plugin, you probably could find plugins for animation too. The themes and plugins expand what WordPress can do, right? So, so what is a plugin, right? A plugin is software that plugs into your WordPress site, and it adds and extends the functionality of your site, of WordPress, right? And that's really the beauty of WordPress, and why WordPress is often differentiated from Shopify, Wix, Squarespace, right? Because all of those are, managed by one company, and you get what that company does. But with WordPress, there's multiple people supplying plugins, right? So, so it's very frequently expanded and expandable. They can make changes to the front or back end of your site. And what I mean by that is it can make changes to what your site looks like adding animation, adding slide bars, adding gamification, or the back end, like backups. Like somebody had asked about backups. There are plugins for backups. There are plugins to help you with SEO. There are plugins to help you with security for your site. So that kind of leads to the question of, if I'm adding this software to my site, is it safe? And there is a vetting process for plugins, and there's tens of thousands of plugins, kind of like themes, right? So you want to kind of do that same vetting of your own, like I was talking about with themes. You want to see if they're highly rated, have they been recently updated? What's the support like? Does the support get back to people quickly? What are people saying? You want to keep your plugins up to date, because it is code. It will get vulnerabilities, and those vulnerabilities people will try to exploit them. And again, just same thing, you want to keep your plugins limited to the ones you're using. And that's for two reasons. One, again, is security. You always want to keep things to just what you're using and keep those up to date. But the second is the plugins will slow down your site. The more plugins you have, it will slow down your site. So you really want to just make sure that you're using the plugins that you have. And when you're starting to build a site and you're just testing out plugins, before you go to production, clean up all the non-necessary plugins. So some examples, again, of plugins. WooCommerce will turn your site into an e-commerce site. All-in-one SEO and Yoast SEO will help you create your search engine optimization. So they'll help you with your meta descriptions, your title tags, your keywords. They're both very good at that. Yoast SEO is the one I usually use, but All-in-one has been good too. Monster Insights is an analytics tool. So it'll help you see who's coming to your site, how active your site is. It's also integrates with Google Analytics. So it's a great way to get at Google Analytics connected to your site, and it will help you see Google Analytics data from your site. Constant Contact and MailChimp are both email marketing tools. So they can help you kind of create an email list, and then using those two tools, be able to do an email campaign and a marketing campaign. And WordFence Security is a good security tool. There's some others out there, but that's also a good security tool for your WordPress site. There's some other like logging tools and that type of thing. So how do you install a plugin? It's a little bit like installing a theme, right? From the WordPress menu, you go to plugins and add new. You search for the plugin, you install it, and then you click the activate button on the plugin. Now, from that point on, all the plugins pretty much look different. What they're going to ask you, the information they're going to ask you, they're going to require additional configuration, which I can't list here because it's different per plugin. But we are going to do a demo of how to install a plugin. And I can answer some questions. Let's see. How do you find all the plugins? I'll show you that in the next. If you already have a WordPress site, is there a way to build a test site to work that will not impact the production site? It depends on your hosting. Hopefully, if you're hosting, you have hosting where you can have more than one site, right? Some hosting, when you buy it, you only have, you've only bought hosting to host one site. And so you might want to look to upgrade it. And then once you've upgraded it, you should have a way to, there's usually a way to copy your production website to, just copy it. And then you basically have a test site. I'll show you how you can see all your plugins. Should we pay for plugins or use the free version? If the free version gives you everything you need, then there's no reason to buy the upgrade. But you may get into a place for your business where there's a function that you need that's only in the pay version, right? And generally, you're going to constantly, if you're using the free version, the company is going to keep sending you information about why the pay version is so much better. But like the free version of WooCommerce, there's quite a bit you can do with it. And even the free version of Monster Insights, you really get quite a lot, right? So really, unless there's something in the pay version that you need, there's no reason to upgrade to it. It's not more secure or anything like that. But expect to hear from the company about why the premium version is better. Do we know when a plugin needs to be updated? Yes, generally speaking, on your dashboard, it'll say a new version is available. Yeah, and you can actually set it up so that your plugins update automatically, which is generally how I do it. And that really comes down to how your business is. If you have a business, like when I worked at the bank, we would not have our plugins on, it's not something we do automatically because we'd want to schedule it during a downtime, within like a maintenance period. But so that really comes down to your business, how your business runs. Like if there's, critical time that you have to be up, you probably don't want to just have your plugin decide to upgrade at that time. But generally speaking, it's a good idea to just have them update automatically. Okay. Okay. Okay, so the way you can see what plugins you have is you go over here to plugins, and it will show you what plugins you have and whether or not they're active, right? So I don't know how you pronounce this word, but Akismet is a spam filtering plugin, right? So it's very good. So that if people put comments on your site that are just spam, like just trying to sell people pharmaceuticals or that type of thing, it will filter out those comments so that they don't clutter up your site and make your site less attractive and even less attractive to Google and hurt your SEO. So that's a good one, and it's active, so that's good, right? Creative Mail by Newfold Digital. It's probably something I don't need, so I could deactivate it. Google Analytics by Monster Insights. Like I said, that's one I really like, so that's active and that's good. Hello Dolly. Bluehost always puts this on here. It's not active. So you can see what it says. It symbolizes hope and enthusiasm for a tired, summed up the words. If you activate it, what it does is on the admin site, it puts words up here from the song Hello Dolly. So it is an incredibly silly plugin. It's mostly, I think, there for testing, installing, and deinstalling plugins. And yeah, so really one you don't need, and you can just select it and delete it. And yes, I'm sure I want to delete Hello Dolly. So that's how you would delete a plugin. Okay, so that's how you can tell which ones you have, and the ones in blue are the ones that are active, and the ones in white are the ones that aren't active. And generally, if you have a whole bunch that aren't active, you should delete them. Okay, so we're going to turn our site into an e-commerce site, we're going to do that by installing the WooCommerce, plugin, right? So we are going to go up here and we're going to click the Add New button. And you can see it comes up with a whole bunch of plugins, right? And there's down here, you can look at these different tags, or, you know, somebody asked about backups, you could put in the word backup. And you can see, and this Updraft is actually a good backup plugin. You could see different backup plugins, and then you could see, like I was saying, how highly rated it is, how many people have used it. You can look for more details, right? So you can search for plugins that way. You can do more research on them, you know, by Googling, you know, them and Googling backups and that type of thing. So that's one way to find backups or find the plugins. But we're going to look for WooCommerce. Okay, and here it is, WooCommerce, and so there's 5 million plus active installations, you know, 4,000 reviews, and it's got a 4.5 star rating. It was last updated a week ago, right? So we're going to go ahead and install now. Okay, and then we're going to activate it, and that's how you activate it. You just click the little activate button. We could go back to our plugin page, and it would show there and say we could activate it from there, but we're just going to activate it from this page. And like I said, all of them at this point, it's going to ask the questions that are relevant to that plugin, right? So it's asking us our country. So I'm in Delaware. Oh, but I'm actually going to set up for Philadelphia. So let me do this again. I'm going to say Pennsylvania, and then I'm going to put in the address. And you can see what a wonderful typist I am. And then I'm not going to click that because I do not want tips, products, updates. I get enough email from everybody. No, thanks. I'm just going to say other. And then I'm going to say it's dog care. And then I'm going to say we're going to sell physical products. And as you can see, like if you say memberships and stuff, it's already going to say you need the premium version. And here's the same thing. Like if you go over a certain amount, it's going to say you need the premium version. But I'm just going to say I'm selling 10 to 100. And do I sell elsewhere? No. And I'm not selling up a store for a client. and I'm not going to add these recommended business features to my site. You can do that, right? You can look through them and decide to add these products, but I'm just going to say no. And then it's asking me to change if I want to change my theme, but I'm just going to say continue with my active theme, right? Because we already put a lot of thought into our theme. So we're going to, let's see, the one it's suggesting is storefront. And then these are all a bunch of other themes that WooCommerce has created. And you can see a lot of them are, except for storefront, they're all charged themes. So I'm just going to say continue with my active theme. Okay. Now it's kind of trying to walk you through all the other steps, but if you look over here now on the left, WooCommerce is now on our menu bar, right? And it's added a whole bunch of things. It's added the home page, which is this page, orders, right? So setting up when we receive orders, it'll appear there, customers, coupons, right? All kinds of things, and settings, right? So we can set up products, all kinds of things, right? Okay, our website designer left the web boards in world. I know most of the plugins we use that happens if I delete one we possibly need, but I'm not 100% sure we use. Well, what you can do before you delete it is just deactivate it if you think you're not using it, right? Because that's less dramatic. You can always reactivate it. But the best thing to do is do some research on it to see what the plugin would be doing, right? And then see if that's something that your site is currently doing, right? But I certainly wouldn't delete it before deactivating it and leaving it deactivated for at least a few weeks, maybe through a whole billing cycle, something like that, and make sure that you don't see any effects, like through whatever your whole billing cycle, your business cycle would be. Okay, so you can see we now have WooCommerce. So we are going to set up some products, right? Because we now have a commerce, we now have a store. Yay for us. So we're going to go into pages. And one of the things you can see is we suddenly have a bunch of new pages that we did not have before because WooCommerce added those too. We have a cart page, a checkout page, we have a shop page, right? So these are all new pages that got added when we added WooCommerce. So that's what I'm saying, like what your site's gonna look like is gonna look a lot depending on your plugins and your themes. So so we're going to go to products and we're going to add a new product. And our product name is Zippy Blue dog ball. Okay. And our description is it's a blue It's a blue 6-inch dog ball, enameled, and it's easy to clean. Yeah, then we're just going to make the meta description the same. And we are going to give it an image. And here we have, this is our zippy blue dog ball image, which we had already loaded to our media library. And we're going to give it a price. We're going to say that our zippy blue dog ball is $20. And we're going to give it a category, which is feeding. And we're going to add that new category. Okay, and then we're going to publish it. Okay. So now we're going to look at our site. And you can see it went ahead and added a whole bunch of things to the menu too for our new pages. So we're going to look at our shop, and there is our zippy blue dog bowl that we just added. So now we have a shop going. But when we look at our menu, that is probably not how we want our menu to be, right? We probably want the first thing people to see is our shop, right? So we're going to go ahead and we are going to customize our menu to move the shop to the beginning, okay? Oh dear, okay. So we're going to do this quick because I'm taking too much time. So we're going to go here and we're going to go to menus. And there's a couple ways you can do this. You can also do it from the customize screen. And we're going to give this the menu name of main menu. And it's going to be our primary menu. And we're going to say add that to our menu. And then we're going to add the checkout to our menu. And we're going to add cart to our menu. And then we're going to add about us and my account. Now, the other thing is I probably want to see the cart before that, and I'm going to embed checkout under cart, okay? And I'm going to save the menu. And then we're going to go back up to the site. And now you can see our new menu is shop, and then cart with checkout, about us, and my account. Okay, and then I think that's where we're going to leave it. Is there any, let's see, we have a question. What is a WordPress slider? It's, if like in shop, we wanted to, instead of like, if I put quantity here, and instead of you typing a number, you wanted to say like 1 to 100, you can make a little slider that could go from 1 to 100. Is there a fee for Bluehost? Yes, there is a fee for Bluehost. There's a fee for just regular Bluehost, and there's a fee for Bluehost for WordPress hosting. It generally depends on what kind of deal they have going at any given time for how much the fee is. Okay, so we're going to leave it there for our demo, and we're going to go back to our presentation. Okay, so now we have our WordPress site, and we've chosen our theme, and we've customized our site a bit. So now we want to talk a little bit about images to make our site more interesting. So the reason you want to think about images is because people process visual images faster than text, right? And good use of images can engage your customers and draw them into your site. They should be relevant and add to the message of your website, right? But the downside is that they're often the largest contributor to page size and to slowness on your site. So you want to make sure your images are the best visibility, but at the smallest size, right? So you want to be able to optimize them for size and clarity, right? And the other thing is, it's much better to use original images, but there are resources available to for stock images out there for free or for low cost. But you always want to check the licensing to make sure that you are complying with the licensing terms of the stock images. So you want to name your image picture file prior to loading, and I'll show you why if we have time for the demo. Because it will show up in the URL name, and it's URL names are one of the things that will help increase your SEO, right? So you want to name your image file something that makes sense with keywords for your business, because again, it'll show up in the URL name for that image, and it will help increase your SEO. You also want to have good alt tags for your images. There's 3 uses of alt tags on pictures. One is for people who have no vision, and it will explain, so they will have a website reader that will actually read your website to them, right? So if they get to a picture of a dress, instead of it just saying no image available or no image found, it will read it to them and say A-line, midi, whatever you put in there, right? Let's put it, read to them. But it would be better if it said to them, A-line, midi length dress with red floral print on black background, right? They might buy that dress, right? If it says no image available, they're not going to buy that dress. But it also helps the website crawlers understand your site more, right? So they read that about your site, right? And they say dress. Next, read the next one. Oh, also midi dress. Oh, next one, junior dress. Oh, next is, shoes. And they learn more and more about your website, and then they're more likely to present your website when somebody looks for women's clothing, or they look for midi dresses, right? Because now they know your website has 52 midi dresses, right? So they will present that as opposed to just a whole bunch of images that say no image available. And the third one is, if something happens to your site or there's some issue and the images can't be presented, it will instead present the alt tag instead of that image. So instead of, again, something coming up and saying image file missing, it will say A-line, midi dress, red flowers on black background. You want to use high quality images, and there's that document will kind of go through, high quality versus size, and the right formats, PNG or JPEG, again, unless it's your logo. And you want to compress those images to improve your load times. There are free media resources available, right? I use these very much when I'm putting together presentations or doing the websites and that type of thing. Most of the pictures in the website are from those. Some are my dog who passed away. And there are some other helpful sites. Like I said, there are different licensing agreements, and you need to be aware of them when you're using the pictures. Like the iconograph ones, they're free-ish. Most of them you have to credit the person who created the icon if you're going to use it without paying for it. And then I don't think I have time to do the demo. But basically it's just kind of running you through how to see your media and using those compression files. There are some additional resources available on YouTube. There's this WordPress for Beginners is a good site. WordPress.org has some really good learning sites on there. And like I said, these are also, if you have a free LinkedIn for your business, LinkedIn has some really good WordPress classes. So let's see, I think there's a couple more questions, but Garba, you want to go ahead and tell them about the...
Yes, please. Quick one, as usual, this goes to our wonderful attendees. I did posted a 30-second survey about today's webinar a few minutes ago. I just posted it for the second time. Remember, we at Tempo SBDC, we always cherish your feedbacks, even as it helps us in improving the services we provide to you guys at no cost. So kindly take 30 seconds of your time and help us to fill out the survey link. I guess I will just go ahead and post it for the third time for those of you that didn't see it the first and the second time. Thank you.
Okay, so somebody asked, is Shopify better than WooCommerce on Bluehost? Well, you don't have to host your WooCommerce, your WordPress on Bluehost. That's just what we purchased. There's many hosting sites. There's some that are recommended by WordPress. And better is always a subjective term, right? There are some good things about Shopify. If you are mainly just doing a lot of products and you have a lot of different products, and that's basically what your whole business is varied and high volume product sales, Shopify is a really good solution for that. If your website is more of a business to business and also does some product sales, then something like WordPress is better because it allows you to have you know, kind of a fuller, richer arsenal of things you can do, as opposed to just kind of product sales. So if you have a business where you're selling products and you're selling services and you're also doing like business to business, Shopify might not be the best place for you. So you have to really think about those things. It's a lot to think about, I know, but there's never just a clean answer. Is Shopify better than WordPress? And where do you show citations for an image? Generally speaking, below the image is where you would show the citation. And yes, they'll after the meeting, they'll send out the recording and the slides. Okay. Okay, well, thank you everyone for attending. I really enjoyed today's class and all the participation. Along with this class, there's other services that the SBDC provides. There'll be more information in your presentation that you get. So here's some of the things like business plans and financial management and that type of thing. If you scan this QR code, you can find out more about upcoming training events. And there's also information about how to sign up for our newsletter and how to further contact the SBDC.
Okay, guys, before we wrap it up, just want to use this opportunity to thank each and every one of you for keeping it a day with us. Sheila, thank you for a wonderful presentation. And of course, to my wonderful SBDC colleague, you know, without them, we wouldn't have been here and the webinar wouldn't have come into existence. Thank you and do enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.